Are you listening?
Whoa! Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Hillbilly. Good morning, chat. Mrs. Hillbilly, you're in chat. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. You can tell someone who doesn't have his coffee because he's not wired like I am.
Yep. It's right.
So good. So good.
I
I'll be
like it.
this morning. Well, I wish Mr. Hillbilly had coffee this morning. TCG dude, morning. Oh, you're in for a show today. Wish you could jump on, but man, we got a deep subject today. And then for that, we're going to try to make the intro as short as possible because the descriptor is kind of long and I want to get through it without running out of breath. All right. But first, you know what time of day it is?
Oh, yeah. It is the card of the day.
Yeah.
Card of the day.
All right, so we got a couple blizzards hitting the United States this week, and I was looking for a card with blizzard in it. I came across this card, and I was like, damn, this is a pretty powerful uncommon, especially for back in the day. I believe it's originally from Cold Snap. I don't, but this one's from Eternal Masters, I believe. This
Nice.
common costs two generic, a blue and a black. It's a 2/3 snow creature specter that's flying. Whenever Snow Spectre deals combat damage to a player, choose one. That player returns a permanent he or she controls to its owner's hand. Damn. Or that player discards a card. Woo!
Nice.
That's pretty powerful.
If you can put extra turns in with this somehow,
Mm-hmm.
you attack your opponent, you bounce a card to their hand, then you go to your second battle, make them discard it.
Yeah. Well, that's a very specific case because you have to rely on that one card being the one card in their hand. But that's a very powerful scenario. And this card packs a lot of power just for being a 2/3 flyer for 4. That connecting ability is pretty good. You give this creature more invasion, like it has flying, so it's pretty evasive. But you just make this card unblockable. It's basically tap, deal 2 damage, return a permanent, or discard a card. You're like, damn. Woo, I need to get a copy of this card. Good morning. What's going on? All right. Sweet. But boom. TC Dude wants to jump on. He says he's down. All right.
Thank you, Mrs. Hillbilly.
Wait. Did she just hand you coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The show is on the go. On the go. Now, for the picture of the day, this is brought to us by Mrs. Hillbilly through Discord. Because if you go to Discord and you post pictures or card of the days in the areas where you can, you'll be chosen. And this card or this picture of today's to-do list is a pretty funny picture. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much every day. Today's to-do list: get out of bed, find coffee, pretend to be human. Pretend to be human. And the dragon just looks cute. Little disgruntled dragon with coffee. He's like, I have to be nice.
She comes up with some of these craziest pictures.
All right. That is a crazy picture.
I don't know where she gets them from, but she knows where to go.
Well, this picture has been cropped and ready to go. Oh, Gaming Bob.
What's up? Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. I'm so happy you are here. I'm
so happy I'm here at this age. I wake up, I'm like, damn, it's a good day.
It's a good day. Hell yeah. Especially when you get out of bed and your bones don't hurt. That's a good day. That's how I feel.
I wake up to a pretty good life, to be quite frank. I've got good people here in the house. I've got friends like you all to occupy my time.
All right. That's cool. Because today's topic, I think you can bounce me out on. I got a large descriptor I got to read through, but I can't wait for your opinions. I specifically thought of you. I don't know why I didn't ask you earlier if you wanted to join. But usually when I'm sending out links to people, I always try to drop by your little Discord channel just to wish you a good morning.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it's always good to have friends. All right, so TCG Dude says, "Good morning, Bob." He says he'll be in a moment, be on in a moment. But I got to get to the descriptor because it's a long descriptor, and I just get on a tangent sometimes. But the title of today's topic is, "What is the target audience for MTG?" And the description is, "What feels like what was once a game not for all of us, but all of us." Blah, blah, blah. Let me start over. What feels like what was just a game not all of us just walked into, but was coaxed by a friend, initiated to, so to say. Felt like a system where people would invite their friends in who didn't play into playing Magic the Gathering, and felt good. The game felt cool, inclusive. The nerds' way of having fun. It built relationships, friendships, and more. Over it was a group of people who fell for the lure of the game. The game of Magic was confused back then in the beginning, being a game for teenagers 13 plus, and some of the themes and the art were like adult rated. But thank God the gameplay was awesome, even though the stack was rough and the mana burn was a thing. But it felt like Wizards of the Coast by that time, Ravnica City of Guilds came along, that they were starting to understand the player base, the collector base too. But we who played felt like the target audience. Like we felt like the game was for us. We were the misfits, the outcasts, learning social skills and building confidence. We were learning more about ourselves. We, the player base, were helping build the game up for WOTC and the local game shops. I mean, what the fuck happened? What the fuck has happened? All what we loved, lived, and grew, or had a hand in growing, like growing the game, growing WOTC basically with our monies, and loving the game. Like the LGS player base of our time, the people who helped Wizards of the Coast become the giants they are, it seems like they like to ignore us now. It has become to feel that we have fed a monster to grow. Now they ignore those who built them up for what? Newer players who have no connection to the game, newer players who are not lifetime supporters, people they expect to live in the game for like 4 years and leave. And even the collector base is feeling this way, that I've known. I've been playing Magic for about 20 years, now 19 to be more exact, because 2025 will be 20 years. And I'm feeling the neglect and detachment. The connection is being severed from the game that I love so much. My faith in the company has been weakened because there's no clear audience for the game anymore. Now, Wizards wants to alienate the solid player base and collector base that they've had this whole time. For what? New short-term players? I guess all I can do is engage with the product I want to engage with and talk about my personal thoughts and feelings about the game, because Magic in itself may hold a special place in my heart. WOTC has distanced themselves from their own game. They are not attached to it like they once were. They may own the game, but they don't love the game no more. And that's how it feels. And that's the whole descriptor. Thank you for letting me get through all that. I know there's opinions and thoughts to be had and maybe difference in opinion. All is welcome. Every time I invite Bob, I know that he has a good point coming or has a good thought. So I appreciate you being here. If there's anything you disagree with, let me know. If anything you do agree with, let us know.
Yes, Bob, your 2 cents feel like 3 all the time. Thank you.
Well, and I try to temper that. I don't want to suck the wind out of the room. I want to be here, be one of the guys too. Listening to that monologue, which is what it is, I do have a couple of thoughts.
Nice.
And I've been in Magic since 1994. But I don't now, nor did I then, nor did it most any points in my life did I ever feel like an outcast.
That makes sense.
I never felt like an outsider. I didn't feel like I was trying to escape by finding the game. Actually, the first time I played, and I think I've covered this online, I was in the military in Okinawa. I just gotten there.
Awesome.
This is the summer of '94. And I didn't really have any friends there yet. You know, as military, if you're familiar with it, I'm sure the military folks will understand this. You get to a new base, you don't really have any connection to it yet. And so I was pissed drunk walking down a hallway, and I hear some, excited yammering coming from an open door, which is fairly rare in a dorm, military dorm.
What's all this?
So, they had their room open, and I poked my head in, and there's these two guys, playing with these cards on the floor. And it's something, back then, no one had ever even heard of TCGs. Like, it was just not heard of. There's no internet, not to speak of. But I played D&D back in the 80s. And,
so it was akin to that in some way.
The artwork was reminiscent, right? Okay. I've always loved swords and sorcery. That's always been a thing of mine. I read Lord of the Rings since I was, young. Middle school, I think I started with a Hobbit,
right?
Pretty much every year. At any rate, so I was sort of fascinated. No clue what they were doing. I'm watching this game, and I love puzzles. So at any rate, it wasn't friends that got me into it. It was serendipity, if you want to call it that, fluke happenstance, and curiosity that pulled me into it. Now, at no point did I ever feel in the almost 30 years I've been playing now that WOTC was ever in it for me. It is a product. It is something that you buy, akin to, in my opinion, something like sports cards that you can do something actually with, right? And I think a lot of that has been missing in this latest game piece era.
Right.
And I think that if you just want a game that's cheap, there are thousands of great card games out there that don't cost hardly anything. I've mentioned them over and over on my channel. This is, I hate to say it, for all intents and purposes, it is a collectible that happens to have a game attached to it.
Right.
And if it didn't, it wouldn't command the prices that it always has. So the disconnect with them trying to sell this as a game piece era, make it more accessible for players, blah, blah, go suck it. That's never been their intention. Their intention is to sell packs of cards, period. Ever since the beginning. Anything more than that, you're deluding yourself. WOTC has never made this promise. Show me anything where they printed that they said that we're in this for this community on the packs that you're buying.
Well, so and like I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. Like they never where they're never really in it for the players base. Like they were not attached to us. But what it seemed like there used to be, like what it felt like to me, especially during like between the times of Ravnica and the first time we went to Zendikar, they were always pumping out things to get us players excited, always getting us into the game to buy the product, but also one big key factor I think that gave a lot of people like me attachment to the game and enjoy the company, as it were, back then, was the local store and the gathering that happened at the store and the events at the store, like release day, pre-release, F&Ms, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way a lot of people feel, like a lot of us older players, is we don't have that much anymore. Even though some people do have a local game store, I know for a fact that one of my friends who goes to local game stores, the presence of players there are not as fruitful as they used to be. So there's a lot hindering there.
The big question you have to ask yourself there was that something that WOTC developed, or is that something we developed as a community of people that have found a common interest?
I think it's the second one. We the people who built the common interest and have a place to go to. Because like every time me and my friends introduced new players to the game, we always had that particular card shop, like Game Grid for my example. A particular card shop, we'd tell them this is the best place to play in town, the most trusted place to play in town, because it was. And it says you'll have to find the most players in this area that they ain't gonna try to screw you over. Then in my specific play group at the store, you know, we would like not only help a person get in the game and to help them save money, because even though the game wasn't too expensive back then, but we'd help build them a deck and whatever cards we couldn't give them, we'd let them know in the store what's in the store, what they should put in their deck, and they would purchase those cards so they don't have to spend like $200 or $100 on a deck, commander or standard.
I'm going to argue with you that Magic's always been expensive.
Well, I get that with like inflation, it's still
No. I mean, just relatively compared to any games of their era,
or just as a hobby in general.
Name something that you find people on average that are in a game spend as much on that game as you do on Magic for an average Magic player. Name any other game, and I don't care if it's video game. You're gonna have to start getting into like, okay, Warhammer's one. I'll agree with that. That's a good.
That's the only thing I can.
Very, very expensive game.
Right.
But,
no, I get you.
But what I'm saying about Warhammer is anybody who knows anything about Warhammer, one of the very big disclaimers that you're going to get right up front is this is a very expensive game.
Right.
And WOTC should also have the disclaimer on the label for Magic because it is and always has been a very expensive game.
Well, that's very true. And but the difference is Warhammer's expenses up front. Magic's expensiveness is not all up front. And you kind of think into it and you kind of get into it.
I don't know. I'm gonna disagree. I mean, it depends on how you engage. It can be expensive or cheaper. You know, even for Warhammer, they talk about like economical ways to get into Warhammer. But you're right. That's a great example. But once you start getting outside of those two kind of things, but here's a bigger difference. The Warhammer pieces, honestly, they're very expensive. Even if you sell them on secondary market. The problem is that WOTC has diluted because it's so much easier just to make a piece of cardboard, the value of the cards. So Warhammer pieces, if you go to sell your collection of Warhammer miniatures, they sell for a pretty penny.
Oh yeah, and it's ridiculous too because one, the Games Workshop, I believe, is the one who owns Warhammer. They're up front saying their pieces are cheap to make, very cheap to make, but they overcharge on purpose. Like my son brought this article up and they were talking about it, and that's not the way they worded it, but they're like, yeah, we charge a certain amount because one, we like to make money, and two, it's the way the game works here for us, and we're like, and it feeds us back because, you know, one thing about Warhammer that's different from Magic, because Magic has like a consistent flow of people spending money via singles off the secondary market or buying packs or boxes. Or Warhammer, people buy an army, then they stop buying for a bit because they got to paint the figures, put them together, all that fat jazz, and they play the game. Then when they get into an army, they buy other things later, which was an interesting point.
There's a lot more stop and go purchasing with Warhammer. And
and I wish I could. I wish I knew the article offhand. He showed me on his computer one time. It was interesting because he was a bigger Warhammer buff than I am. Yeah, my son bought me an army to play with, and I got the paint put together. I thought it was awesome.
I'll be honest with you, because of the expense and overcharging, I know in the Warhammer community, and I'm very, very lightly attached to it. There's a lot of people now printing their own Warhammer figurines on their 3D printers. Like,
that was a big part of the house too. Like, one of my son's friends was trying to talk my son into going halves on a 3D printer to do that exact thing. And there's kits out there, like those little downloadable kits to put the models in the 3D printer. So you feed the filament through and it'll just print it out. That's already done. And well, I honestly don't know Games Workshop's whole opinion on it, other than I know they kind of don't care as long as those fake pieces are not in real tournaments. That's as much as I was able to get out of that when I looked it up, because I thought it was an interesting idea. But first, really quick, before we get any further, because we are 19 minutes in and we forgot to do this at the beginning, so this can kind of be the middle of the show. If you want to find sweet Magic the Gathering swag, you know, you can go to cardsartopia.com where you can find sweet Magic the Gathering dice bags like this one for $45 plus $5 ship, high quality, handcrafted. And there's a little feet and head, and there's a little tail, you see? Those are all stuffed, hand stuffed. It's pretty cute and clever with my logo on it. Every purchase helps out the channel. And look, there's Hillbilly showing off his dice bag because he wants to sell those too. Those bad boys are pretty cool, dag blaggett. Then if you want to find $5 to $8 lapel pins, you can find them at cardsartopia.com. My favorite one's a salty one. Still need to get a copy of that one. I love that salty pin. But there's more to find out, and there's more to explore. And her stuff is handmade, high quality. The pins, I cannot say that for sure, but I know the dice bags are definitely handmade, and they're all high quality. Thank you. And that was cardsartopia.com. Kind of slipped up on that one. Coach, want to say hello to you?
Oh, hello, everybody in chat.
Yeah.
So while y'all were bantering over there, I was kind of thinking I could give one long-winded thought, but I'm going to go ahead and give the short-winded thought to spare everyone. I think we've all just reached the honeymoon is over phase.
Mhm.
I really think that, and even people that have been in the game and then left and then came back, like myself, yeah, you know, we're kind of, our eyes are open a little bit wider to what's going on. Yeah, and just the way that we engage with magic, I think, is different, like a little fundamentally. Like, let's say, like, I guess reverting back to the honeymoon thing, it's all haha, I love you, yeah, everything's good. And then once, you know, everything's settling in, it's like, okay, well, now we have to think we're building a future. Okay, how many kids do you want? Like, how many houses? You know, like, serious thought is put into that phase of life, right? And as adults and purchasers and consumers of magic, now we're having to decide, well, how serious am I? How casual am I? Like, do I need sleeves? Right? Literally, like, to us, having sleeves is a no-brainer because we value our collection. But to other players, it's like an actual thought, like, do I need sleeves? You know? So I don't know. I'm just saying that the difference of players is there, and we are just kind of getting the gray hairs of magic. You know what I'm saying?
Gray hairs, hell yeah. I get you.
The only thing, because I'm a contrarian, that I would retort to that is
okay, sir.
is that saying that the honeymoon's over would kind of implies that things have been, they're the same as they have been. And my bigger voice that I'm trying to lend to this is that everybody keeps pointing to like the history of magic and like the path. Rudy keeps talking about like the ebbs and flows and cycles. That only is relevant if they didn't change the essential formula that makes magic, right? That they didn't change what they're doing. And they have, right? In the last 3 years, they have and I keep beating this drum because you just got to take a look at it. Look at the reprints, the number of reprints in the last 3 years compared to the previous 27, right? It is multiplicative, the amount of reprints that they've done. And again, they keep not talking about it. So saying that the honeymoon is over, I agree with your basic tenet that people are waking up rather than realizing that the honeymoon is over. Like, hey, wait a minute. You used to buy packs and boxes and you get a card and the card goes up. Like, I'll tell you the biggest thing from my experience. And I don't know, Hillbilly, you've been around for a while. I don't know, Tortoise, you've been around. You didn't used to open a pack and go, well, I better get that to market super fast before it loses value. And that's what you're seeing everywhere.
Exactly.
It's like, well, I just opened it. I got something of value. Woohoo. How fast can I get it listed on TCG Player or eBay?
Right.
And that is a very different change from back in the day when you would open a pack and finally hit that card you wanted, get the big hit. You're like, woohoo. And I'm going to hang on to it.
Yeah, savor it. It's more of a bubble gum. It's a bubble gum experience, but before we savored it, it was a nice hard candy. It stuck around for a while.
There's two things I want to bring out. First of all, Bob's right. Back in the day, I traded a $10 Shockland for like a $1, maybe $2 rare that I was more excited about than not Shockland for my deck. Where today it's a flippers economy. People open packs. And they're like, okay, how much is it worth, and how fast can I sell it before the price changes or drops down? You know, the prices can go up, but usually people are looking at how fast they can sell it before the price drops. But
I guess that's what I'm trying to lean into the honeymoon is over. Expression is that the mindset is different,
right?
With the whole financial thing.
I think the honeymoon phase finally went over when the first fireside chat was was published on YouTube.
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody was
Yeah,
aware
that
of what
kind
was
of
going
broke
on.
me. It really did. And
Especially as
I
a
guess what
collector.
it did is that was the Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz moment when she pulled back the green curtain.
Yeah.
That was what the fireside chat was to me, is that we finally saw the wizard, because I had hoped and held on to the idea that there are some really smart people at the
Who are
top that are
passionate.
making the right decisions and really guiding the knuckleheads like Mark Rosewater and his idiotic statements. But what that showed is like they pulled their pants down, like, oh my God, the top leadership doesn't understand their product. If they do, they're saying things that are contrary to that idea. It really was something that emotionally, and that's fairly rare in all honesty, emotionally affected me about Magic. It really was a almost moment of desperation for me that, oh my God, there's no hope. There's nothing inside that company, inside those walls, that are going to protect the entity itself.
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. And what is it? Brody on his morning show, which is earlier than my show, was reading off this interview from an employee off the Commander Herald, and they didn't name the employee, but he's one of the people who got fired. And I guess he was saying before the layoffs were happening, it was kind of imminent that some layoffs were going to happen, but the whole workspace changed from having all this resource to go through to work on products and sets to it became more limited to what they were able to work with, and they had to push more product, and they were trying to beat the workhorse. And that's just what do you call it when you try to make a long story short. And I'm like, if that's true, that's where in my whole monologue of a descriptor came in and says, WOTC owns the game, but they no longer love the game like they used to, because back in the day they used to be able to tell you every inside and out story about how a set was made, created, and the struggles to go through, and they don't really do that anymore.
Well, but you bring up kind of a point there, but we have to point out the why.
You're right.
Cynthia Williams and Chris Cox weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
They're recent additions, and
Right.
they're at the top. And that just goes to show how much effect a captain has on steering its ship.
Right.
No matter how good the ship is, any
You were
great
literally
ship can be
reading my
run
brain.
aground.
Yeah, so guys, just stay the course, as Rudy would have said, man. There might be a new captain on the ship of Magic before we know it, guys. Stay a little positive. I'm trying to stay a little positive. I don't know if I'm able to kind of jut in here and kind of change the mood a little bit, but guys, I have some good news for Magic.
What's up?
I finally popped my draft cherry.
Nice.
Dude, yes.
Lord.
I did Cons of Tarkir
What
and
up,
Fate
what up?
Reforge. What up, Stasis? You're here for the news, dude. I did it. Fate Reforge and Cons draft, baby.
One of the
Woo!
best sets of draft in that era.
Oh, dude,
Nice.
it was spicy. And I almost went undefeated, dog. I did. I almost went 3-0, and then they would have had to do a fourth round. But luckily, for time's sake, I went 2-1. And I got third place, dog. I took home the bronze.
Oh, hell yeah.
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 Yeah. Like, out of my promo pack, here's the cherry on top. Out of my promo pack, I got a Traxa.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it was all in
That's
all a
awesome.
really good night, man. Yeah, and
That's so cool.
if you guys were wondering what I drafted and played, I actually went red, white, burn. It would have been Jeskai, but I just didn't have enough Jeskai, splashy spells to do. So I stuck with my warrior bird, turn right, and get damage in strategy, and it actually worked, guys. It was amazing. I got pictures. I documented it. I'll post on my Instagram and Twitter and Discords later so y'all can see.
Ooh.
And you bring up an amazing point that I've said to a lot of people. People get all googly about set boxes and collector boxes, and what you just proved is why draft boxes should not have gone away. Why it should be something that people do hold on to. And I've said it for many moons. I don't know what I'm doing with all the product that I bought, but I only like holding on to draft boxes for that very reason. Look at the experience that you had. How many years ago did Khans of Tarkir and Fate Reforged come out?
Almost 7-8 years,
7, 8
long
years,
time ago.
yeah.
Okay. And look at the fun that you can still have with that product. If you had opened whatever 8 years ago, you wouldn't still be enjoying the cards that you opened the way that you enjoyed the product this weekend.
That's a solid point, Bob. Thanks for pointing that out for everyone.
Well, let's hope the play boosters are just as good, but we know WOTC likes to mess up where they can.
Yeah, no, it's
like, how are you going to mix play boosters with regular draft boosters?
Yeah,
right?
And now having drafted, I can see how it will be confusing for some folks, but B, it will completely change the power landscape. That's what's going to mess it up.
Right.
Well, you're going to mess up the number of cards in the rotation for passing cards back and forth. The power level is completely absurd with the number of rares and mythics that you're going to get in it. I have railed against the play boosters since the moment they announced it.
Right. I love the idea of the play booster, but at the time when they spoiled it, they didn't tell us it was. At that time they spoiled it, and I'm like, this is an awesome idea. They didn't say they were getting rid of the draft booster at that moment. Then later on, they're like, we're getting rid of both the draft booster and the set pack. Well, I'm like, well, why can't you just get rid of the set pack and just keep the draft booster?
I agree. Honestly, if I could choose just one product, it would be the draft boosters.
Right. In fact, like, I know I'm kind of biased because my box is fire, but my Lost Caverns of Ixalan draft booster was pretty good, and as I was open packs, I'm like, I could build decks out of this and draft it. So I kept all the commons and uncommons in the box. So if I wanted to build the cube or wanted to draft it with friends, it was pretty
Most
cool.
people fail the marshmallow test. How many are you familiar with that? Delayed gratification is basically the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people want to open their box now and see the fire now, which is why they like the set boosters, because you can get more financial value out of a set booster. Let's just, that's pure and simple. The problem is if you look at it as a game and the health overall and in the future, the set booster doesn't offer, like my channel partner argues, you can draft a set booster in a weird, have to shove, a square peg in a round hole kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's not the same experience. And
right on paper,
eventually, you guys are going to want to play a draft with you'll get to a financial spot where you want to have friends over, where you're not doing it at LGSs, where you want to maybe play it with your kids or your grandkids, and you'll want to have a draft box that you can sit around and draft with. Right. Well, and that experience is going to disappear.
My draft booster was pretty fire because I pulled 6+ mythics. And that's why I call fire. And I got cards I wanted for decks specifically. That's why I was all excited. There was one card I didn't get. I can't remember the card is right now. But, I got Oger, the token tripler. I got Draco Dragon, that one that mills you 2 cards and makes tokens of different cards milled that way. The Dragon Dinosaur. So, it was fire for me because I got cards I wanted. And I was hella happy with that. Then between the draft box and the set bundle that I got, or the collector's bundle I got, I pulled 3 Chamils, and I needed 2 of those Chamils for decks, so I was really excited.
All right, guys. So if I could try and get us out of this roundabout for a moment, back to the topic. Who is the target audience for MTG?
Oh yeah.
Personally, if I was gonna say their biggest money-making demographic, it would probably be the lot of us 30+ somethings. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you'd think so.
But you would think so. But they are. Pandering's a hard word, but they are definitely catering to a lot of different crowds, and there are younger folks in those crowds, and that's okay. And I have been a person that promotes the notion of passing the torch, right? As somebody who started as a teenager and now I'm an adult with a kid, right? I love
Right.
being able to pass on Magic to the next person, to the next individual.
Mhm.
Yes.
The coach here says opening packs used to be a lot more fun for me, to be honest. I still enjoy it. It was just not as satisfying as it was. I think some singles have become more satisfying at this point. And then he says 6-pack sealed is more fun than draft for me, like the pre-release events. That's fine. I like drafting. I like sealed. I like both a lot, actually. I love the limited format in general.
You know, I will say that both have their pluses and minuses. One of the minuses of draft was grabbing a stack of cardboard held by a really sweaty hand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're just like, ugh.
I would say
so, draft is you invariably at almost every pod have the rare drafter is what they call it.
Right.
The person that's going for the value rather than playing. Whereas, kind of like to what Coach says, I like playing 6-pack sealed over spell table.
Right.
It's hard to get people to want to do that. I mean, I'm always offering it. I even buy pre-release kits to do that specifically, and welcome any of you who want to do that. That's fine too. With me, I'll do it. At any rate, the rare drafter kind of ruins some of that excitement about getting value and maybe seeing a value come back around your way, or having somebody on your left or right pass you something that's valuable. And that kind of spoils it, because then you're going to go up against that person and just not even have a pleasing game. And the problem with 6-pack sealed is that your card pool is just really limited comparatively to like an 8-person draft. So
right. And not only that, you're stuck with the cards you open too if you get a poopy pool.
Yeah. So I not only that, it's just like, oh man, I have, like you said, you wanted to play Jeskai, but you just didn't even get enough
blue,
a card pool for it. But imagine had it been not draft and just straight sealed.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be like 3 colors would be near impossible to pull off on just 6-pack sealed.
Absolutely. For almost any set, Cons and Fate, that block had the fetches, and of course the Tri-land, would-be's.
The Tri-land and the game lifeline.
The likelihood that you'll get enough to pull off any kind of even somewhat cohesive deck at all is very rare. In just pre-release kits. I mean, you're just playing with the best cards that you got. And I like both of them. I like both of them.
I'm gonna chime in here. Sorry. Like with Cons block, I think that was the time when they decided to replace the dual land replace the basic land with a dual land.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so like every pack had a dual land in it. So they tried really hard to make sure that you were able to play like your 3 colors that you wanted to. Cons was actually probably one of my funnest pre-release events at my LGS. Because during that time I was able to do the midnight and then the day and then like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
The Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity, yeah. And like I can't do that now. I can't even stay up past midnight now. But excuse me. That weekend I did it because my best friend, he's very competitive, and we're both like he's a really good player as well. And I taught him how to play professionally and everything like that. And that weekend we're like, hey, this pre-release weekend, whoever has the best winning record has to buy the other person a fat pack.
Ooh.
And I went undefeated, and he lost one game every single day.
Oh, wow.
One game. He dropped one game every single day. But like he knew he was at a loss because we went to the Sunday event, and he didn't even like play it out because he saw my sealed pool and he's like, your deck's stupid. And so he's like, you're just going to win the whole event. So whatever. So he ended up just giving up, and then he bought me a fat pack. But I did drop a game on Sunday, and come to find out, that those people, the one person who beat me, was cheating. He
Oh,
cheated
wow.
with his friend, and they were swapping cards. So like he gave him all of his like red cards or whatever, and then his buddy gave
Oh,
him
yeah,
all of
you
his
told me
green
this
cards. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they ended up getting banned, obviously, but they got caught. But I was so upset because my competitive side was like, "Wow, the only person who was able to beat me is someone who cheated." I was so mad because I got like third place prizes, so it's like I should have been in first. I
Right.
feel like I got robbed, basically.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But really
and then,
quick,
yep.
Hillbilly,
Uh-huh.
Yo,
what time is it?
it is time for the
Or movers and shakers.
What?
Right, top 5 cards going up in standard that we've seen at 1%, just kind of chilling at $90. You got Children of the Apocalypse going here, right there, $90 card. Damn. I mean, then we got Deathcock Glade going up 4%. This card's been slowly climbing pretty decent. This land is going up to 21 or 1897. The Roaming Throne at 2188 plus 2%, been creeping up the creeper list. Roaming Throne's been pretty good. Good for tribal decks too. Then plus 7% at 760, we got Nissa Ascended Animist just going up. Just a little, just chilling. To me, the mana cost looks quirky, but hey, it works. Then going up 2% and $25 at Tali Primal Storm. Love it. $25 awesomeness or $22 awesomeness. And just because it's going up 9% at 446, got Topper Ace Stomper. But boom, that's the 6th card in the list. That's the top 5. All right, top 5 standard cards going down. We got Mondrak Glory Dominus at $36.99, down 2%. Just kind of chilling there, really. Then Bloodthirsty Adversary down 3% at 1830. This card's slowly creeping down. It's been creeping down slowly for the last week. Down negative 6%, 588. You got Teferi, who slows the sunset. Whoa. Then at 26.6, down 1%, just chilling there. Really, he's the Wandering Emperor, no real change. Then down 3%. This card's been creeping down a tad bit at 743. You got Jago Seed of the Empire just chilling there. Then top 5 modern cards going up is the One Ring at 67.36 plus 4. I bet I can't think of the artist's name. But you know, the rapper who bought the 101 ring is happy
Post
that's
Malone.
going up.
Post Malone.
Posty. All right, going plus 10% at 18.99. Got Seaboard Muse going up. 28.18 got Grief going up. Then Seaboard Muse 8% going up 16.18. And Exquisite Blood going up 27.43 plus 4%. And going down five steps or top 5 cards going down. We got Painter Servant at $48.99 going down 2%. As Angel of Hope at $37 going down 2%. Chalice of Void at $64.18 going down 1%, just chilling there. Doubling Season $43.05 down 2%. Will this card ever reach $50 again? Maybe. I guess it depends how much time they give this card to breathe. Last March of the Ints $14.08 down 4%. And just because it's a major drop, the 6th card is Hellcarver Demon $7.40 down 6%. This is a good limited card, especially for the Reanimator deck. And because Stasis Orb is here, we know we're going to do the top 5 legacy cards. Got Chain at $1,072.60 plus 6% going up. Chains of Manifesto. Mephisto. Thank you. That was a word I was not ready for. Going up plus 8% and $349.99. You got Transmute Artifact, one of my favorite cards from that era. I never played that era, but I love this card. Lich going up plus 14% at $199.99. Look at that card, Lich. Cool art. Back in the day, the art was just fantastic. Primitive compared to today, but the talent back then is just sweet. Got $1,049.99 plus 2%. Moat just chilling there on the reserve list. Right there, and Underground Sea at $757.49 plus 2%. Cards going down they're really just chilling more than going down. We got plus 2%, $3,638.40. The Tabernacle of Pendrell. Yes. Savannah, $313.99, going down 2%. Elvish Archers of $54.99, -8%. And I believe it's this unlimited version specifically. Mana Short down 8%, $43.19. Oh, that's a cool art rose right there for a Magic card. Never seen that card before, to be honest. Oh, Wailuli Wolf, $29.80, down 7%, chilling down. And that has been the top
Okay.
5.
Look at greater good.
Pretty good. Down 11%, 12.80. Yeah, pretty good. 12.47, 11 cents. That version from the Urza's block is pretty sick. I like the artwork. Yeah. All right, and that has been the movers and shakers. Boo, boo, boo. Where am I? There you go. Thank you guys for letting me go through that. That was brought to you by Coach's Magic. All right. So we got 15 minutes to chill. Any words people have to say? Anything people want to go?
Well, my commander stream will not take place today because it's my mother-in-law's birthday and taking her out for her birthday, so I will not be able to do my commander stream at 2:00. But as of tomorrow, it should be back on regular schedule.
All right. Well, it's all right. I wasn't asking to shill yet.
Okay.
I was asking if there's something you wanted to add.
No.
You're good though. So if I could offer a little bit of advice to the topic today, I think the target audience of Magic has really shifted more from the game, or in the game. The game has shifted where the game was loved, nurtured, and cared for by the company. Then, at some point, maybe when the Cox and what's her face moved in the company, the game shifted from loving the game to turn it into just a money printing game. I mean, who knows? The massive reprints is insane. So the love of the game in the company probably has shifted, where the game's not as enjoyed by the company as it is by the players.
I don't think they know where their target audience really is.
Well, it's hard to know where your target audience is when your shift goes from caring for the players that are still in the game to we're trying to get everybody new in the game so we get more people in to buy a product.
But the way they do now, it's making a lot of people want to quit the game. I mean, that's understandable.
It's more than just the reprints, though.
Right.
And I agree that the major shift came in with Chris Cox getting promoted, because people kind of missed that. He was the CEO of, or not the CEO. He was the president of WOTC and then got promoted to CEO of Hasbro during the last 3 years. But the shift came somewhere in that era in the last 5 years, not just reprinting them. They have put in every gimmick that they could possibly think of. They have just look at something like Echo MTG, where you look at the number of releases in a year. They have just absolutely hit the overdrive with everything, not just reprints. The number of sets, the amount of product, the number of variants, everything that they could do. It's like they just uncorked everything all at once. It's like they lit their entire bundle of fireworks on fire at once, and of course that's going to have an impact. Imagine eating all the food in your house today. Right. It's going to have all kinds of negative repercussions.
Well, I want to take what you're saying, and with Chris Cox being in office, and take it one step further, because it's not just the reprints, but it is the reprints, and with Chris Cox helming Hasbro now, or being the CEO. Like, I don't know how much you walk through the toy section anymore of your local Walmart, Target, whatever.
Not really.
But like, not only is reprints of Magic, but they're reprinting, quotes unquote, like to say, vintage toys back on the shelves in stores where you can find like vintage looking Transformers, vintage looking Ninja Turtles, He-Man figures, and stuff like that.
My man, can I pipe in here? And actually, I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna like press that point. I'm gonna double it down almost. Look at the shirt you're wearing. Remember just on Friday how the Nintendo's been around for over 100 years, right? And they were originally a playing card company. Now they're doing Nintendo Switch, a completely different medium. Still the same thing, games. They're selling games, right? So Wizards and WOTC, they are, that was the same thing, whatever. They're in the business of selling a game, and so they're going to do it however they can. And unfortunately, they are messing it up. They are crashing their ship.
Well, what I wanted to show with the reprint of the toys and stuff is it's chiming through not only Wizards but also in Hasbro their strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's really kind of harped on that they've taken a very corporate approach to the company, and the biggest change, the change in the formula, is they went from a slow, steady, tortoise-paced, turtle in the hare race here,
Right?
Approach with good stewardship. They've all, like I said, it's to the point I was making earlier, is that they've always wanted to make money. They've always wanted to grow the game. Everything they've ever done since day one is to do that. It's just different captains do that in a different way, and the people that are piloting the boat now are they just basically said, all right, well, full steam ahead. We're just going to go as fast as possible,
Right?
And that's their approach. And you have to ask, well, I think everybody knows that if you just take your car, for example, if you push the pedal all the way to the floor, you're going to run out of gas. Let's say you were trying to get to California, and your idea is, well, if we just go as fast as possible, we'll get there faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Burn all that gas.
you're going to burn all your gas out before you can get there. But if you run at an optimal speed, burning your gas at a steady pace, you're going to go much farther.
Well,
right?
and
that's the difference that WOTC's taken, whether it's the Mutant Ninja Turtle dolls or whether it's Magic, is that they have they're taking that approach. So you have to wonder, are they planning on abandoning ship?
Right. And there's a lot to factor in. Like a lot to factor in. Like we've been talking a narrow scape, but like there's things from eBay reselling, collectors and stuff that go into all their investments, because how much they study the markets and whatnot, and why they would reprint or remake toys and stuff like that. They're really studying the market so they know what to sell. So there's a lot into it that we're not touching. But what I want to hone in on with all the change, with everything they've been learning to gross their income with, is the heart of the company's been dispositioned from loving what they do to pumping out the what we can get for the money. Because, like, for example, Beast Wars, they did a rehash on Beast Wars figures, like the original figures, and like I was kind of saddened by it, but at the same time I was kind of happy because I was able to get some figures for cheaper than I can get on the secondary market.
That's where I take exception. I don't know that they've ever really loved us. Like I think we're attaching that to what the previous administration was doing and saying, oh, they're doing it because they love us, right? I don't know that that's ever been a true statement. I think they wanted as much money as possible, but had the discipline to not fail the marshmallow test and eat it right away.
Right.
They realized that their stewardship meant if this thing is going to keep producing money for years, we need to take a different approach. And then people just assume us as a players want to, like, it's kind of like people that put personalities on their pets that aren't really there. That, oh, look at him. He's, he knows that your dog doesn't fucking know. It's a dog. And it's the same thing with us attaching those ideas that, well, they were doing it in the past because they cared about the community. I don't know that that's a true statement. We're making an apparent guess at it because of what they were doing made it seem like they cared about us.
Right. And it makes sense because they do have a whole.
It's like when you go to the adult club and the lady's nice to you, and you have to remember that's because you were throwing money around.
Wow.
Very apt. Very good analogy. And that's exactly it. That and they'll work you, like whatever. I assume it doesn't matter. The point is that they have a different approach. They can either try to get all the money out of you right then and there that night, or they can try to get you coming back in the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. And I think that's the difference between the current administration and the previous administration. Is this one goes, well, they're here right now, get as much money as possible out of them right now because they're here. Whereas the previous administration was like, well, if we drip feed this addiction, they'll keep coming back. And I think that's a major shift in the management styles and the upper management. And now we as the player base go, oh, well, they did it because they loved us. They loved the game. No, it was just a different approach in making money.
Right. I get your point. It's a solid point. But I just think the biggest shift is how they cared for the game. Like us aside. Like they used to care about the game when they designed the game.
I don't know that's like there's people there. Like I met a bunch of people behind the scenes when I went to M30, and I'm going to tell you that many of the people there, like I met and talked at length with Mark Rosewater.
Right.
I met Elaine. What's her last name? Chase, maybe. The one that introduced the M30 packs. I liked her probably the most of everybody there. I don't know. Mark, I really liked. I met Aaron Forsyth. And I'm going to tell you that most of the people there that work for WOTC that I got to meet, they like what they do. They're doing it for a game. Aaron was the, I don't know, he was a VP or something. I think he's right underneath Cynthia. And he was just more kind of a jerk. And he didn't really, he did sit down and draft with us. So he knows how to play Magic. I wouldn't say that Cynthia could, but he was kind of a douche. And you could tell he was very corporate. But everybody else seemed to really care, not just about the game, but about the people, the community. They really did.
Right. And
But
I bet some of the people do
I
care. I think as a whole, like the company as a whole, because there's people who come in all the time, new people coming into work. I think the love for the designing of the game has shifted from what it used to be. Because one thing I miss, and one thing that is a miss, is how they used to talk about the love, the passion of designing this like certain set, the intrigue that they had to find and discover what worked, what didn't work, what made sense, what made flavor. And they used to go all around. It's like back in the day, Wizards used to kiss our ass to buy their product by selling us these epic little monologues and stuff like that. They used to make it for us. Like, not saying they loved us, but they used to make it for us, and they used to get us intrigued, and they used to talk about everything behind the set, what made it good. And for some reason, they stopped doing that a lot. They sometimes do it, but it fails nowadays, like with New Campana. But now it seems like they shift to that format when they know a set's not going to sell as well, which is weird as hell.
Well, take a look at the starter decks they used to have. They secured about the game, and they gave us starter packs for the new players.
Are you talking about the free new player decks?
Yeah, they no longer exist.
And now they're selling them, which is just whatever.
Right.
A little insulting.
A little insulting, but no, it's been great. All right, as we close and cinch this thing up, is there anything anybody wants to say really quick before we get to the chill section?
I'll say this to answer the question, because I never really did for the topic of the day. In all honesty, in one word, who is Magic the Gathering and WOTC's targeted audience? I'll be honest with you, in one word, investors.
Right. True. That's a good way to look at it. That's an adverse way to look at it, and it seems like they're on the invested. For the song of the day that we normally get to, the song of the day, it seems like James Willis wants us to look up "The Heart of Glass" by Blondie. So if you haven't seen that song, if you haven't heard that song or heard it in a while, go check it out. And let's get to the shill section of the day, starting with Billy.
All right, well, I've done a shield once already, but like I was saying again, won't be a second stream today because it's my mother-in-law's birthday. Gotta take her out for her birthday. Tomorrow she'll be back on regular schedule, where I'll be doing one game, not one game, but one arena stream and one commander stream.
Right.
And
And
Tuesday is my birthday.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank
Happy
you.
belated birthday, boy. I'll see you on your birthday, most likely.
Yeah, you'll see.
Yeah. All right. Now, Gaming Bob, your channel. Tell us about
I
it.
actually, I rarely ever shill, but I actually have something I'm very excited about. Just confirmed it yesterday. It's not
Mhm.
Magic related, but it is game related. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the YouTube content creator Mr. Llama SC for
Diablo.
Diablo. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guest on our show next Saturday night at
Get
7
out of
p.m.
here.
Absolutely. So I would
Dude.
very much appreciate it as much.
Big flex.
It was. I'm very excited about it.
I'm happy for you, dude. He is
So
a
I would
big
really appreciate as much
person.
support as I could possibly drum up for it. I don't normally shill, but I am asking that as many people as possible, if you guys could share spread the word,
Mhm.
drop in at least. That's a pretty big deal for me.
To give you guys an idea of how big Mr. Llama is, there's a speed running event called Games Done Quick, and it's run every year, right? I think it's twice a year actually. And
Nice.
Mr. Llama SC is the fellow who speed ran Diablo 2 Resurrected or Diablo 2 Classic, whatever, a couple years ago. He is the source. If you want D2 knowledge, like for in any capacity, Mr. Llama is the guy. So this is a real deal thing that Bob's got going on, man. I'm so happy for you.
He's basically the Rudy of D2.
Yeah.
Is that tonight, Bob? Coach is asking.
No, it's next Saturday. So would appreciate as much support as I could drum up with whether you guys love me, hate me. It's a pretty big deal for our channel, and I would appreciate.
You know we hate you, and that's why we go to your channel, hit that like button.
Hopefully, you love to hate me.
Right? No, okay. I love you, Bob. All right, now to TCG, dude. Now you have to follow up Bob's announcement by showing your channel.
Oh, okay. I'm still hungover from the fun of last night, bro. No, but for real though, I'm guy that's chronically online here to play games and hang out and talk Magic. And as I've been saying recently, if you need a Gary Oak to your Ash Ketchum, you want a 1v1 and some Call of Duty or Magic, I'm your dude. So hit me up on x.com, formerly Twitter, or in the various Discords around this internet. Thanks.
Yeah, so as you guys are talking, I'm trying to post your links in chat so people can go over there and subscribe if they're not subscribed. Stay Sword. I know you're not shilling right now, but anything you want to say?
Not really.
How's the moving going?
Oh, I'm moved in finally.
Hell yeah!
All that's taken care of. That the moving parts are finally settled, which is really.
Well, I guess
nice.
it's not hard to move a backpack over, right? No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
That's kind of how Stay Sword. But I was when we were younger, traveling from place to place as kids or teen.
Oh, for sure. For people don't know, I live a very nomadic life is a good way to put it. So I like to travel light. So I usually even when I moved here, I had all my stuff was in 3 totes and 3 bags. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, that's
a minimalistic life. I respect that, dog.
Yep. I just kind of go wherever life kind of leads me.
So really quick, I'll wait since you're shilling, kind of. How are you planning your new life? How do you like it?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
my new place is fantastic, and it gives me a lot more free time and a lot more freedom, and I'll be able to participate in more shows now.
Coach's Magic said that's old link for Bob SFT. I'm gonna have to find the new link then. All right, that's probably because of the name change. That's it. That's fixable. Thank you for letting me know, Coach. Look, that's my face. I get to shill. So tonight, all right, this one's from James Willis. Soon after this live, I'm going to go live with finishing my cube edits because I know you like watching drafting cubes. Now, James wants to know when's the next time you plan on drafting CCG, dude. But tonight is Commander Night at 8 p.m. too. So hope that's fun for you. Hope you guys come and join those 2 lives today. And that's as much as I'm going to shill. But, hit hit that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, because so hitting that subscribe button feeds me candy, and I like candy. Being diabetic. All right, but anyways,
He needs 2 players for a commander because I'm going to join.
yeah, later on in Discord, I will definitely start shilling out for the game later on. Add everybody to who wants to join. I'll do it a couple hours before. James Willis says addiction has begun for TCG Dude. All right, I want to thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you Hillbilly for showing up. Thank you Gaming Pod. Thank you TCG Dude.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you Stay Sorb. You're all amazing. You made the show today what it is, and I can't do it without you. That's why this channel is community built. You guys have a wonderful day, and don't forget to
Shockwave! What is your command, Megatron?
Subscribe for Magic the Gathering and other content for evil fun.
Fear not, Megatron. Cybertron